everybody. Jeff Antoniuk here from Jazzwire. Welcome to Guided Listening. So today we're going to dig into Hank Mobley, tune from the classic album Soul Station. This is called Soul Station. We're going to be hearing Art Blakey on the drums, Paul Chambers on the bass, Wynton Kelly on piano. And so Wynton Kelly, Paul Chambers are from Hank's time in the Miles Davis group. And of course, he had played with Art Blakey, so he knew these guys. The tune is Soul Station. It's a bluesy tune. I guess if we had to call it something, we'd call it maybe a 16-measure blues, the first bit of it. Oh yeah, there we go. That's that ding. That was the Hank Mobley estate asking for some money, probably. The first 8 measures is essentially like a 8-measure blues. And then the last 8 measures is essentially the song Last 8 Measures of Doxy. So again, very blues-like. Now, we're working on this song inside Jazzwire right now in the Red community, sort of the intermediate group of adult musicians, a lot of folks like you. And so we're going to be digging into this song for 3 weeks with myself doing some of the lessons, Steve Herberman on guitar doing some lessons. Jazzwire is for all instruments, by the way. And one of the things we're listening to is just how he plays this melody and the bends and the style and the little glisses he does. Some of them are mechanical. Some of them are done with embouchure, actually sort of bending the pitch. Some are more like grace notes, like what Wynton Kelly has to do on the piano, because of course we can't bend notes on the piano, not without an axe and a blowtorch anyway. Don't do that at home. Okay, so let's jump into this. Let's jump into this recording. It is so swinging. It is so cool. And we'll meet on the other side. All right, nice little trio intro here. Listen to Art Blakey, but let's listen to Hank. Just that little subtle pitch bend. It's very subtle. A lot of amateur semi-pros make their bends way too big. We've got to be really careful with those. So Hank is so subtle, and then I want you to listen, sax players especially. Is he doing them with keys, grace notes, or is he doing it with his embouchure, bending the note like we can bend a note on a guitar or a bass? Let's listen. There's some key in there, I'm pretty sure, that he's kind of softening the glissando or the grace note with his embouchure. Woo! And how he's kind of laying back in the time, but playing with burning time. That's something else we talk about in Jazzwire. How do you do that? How do you lay back aggressively? Woo! So let's talk about this feel. So Art Blakey, if you were listening through the melody, he's doing very much the same thing here. He's playing a shuffle. So a shuffle comes from swing. It's very related to swing. Dang, dang, da-dang, da-dang, da-dang. So it's a more overt swing, a more obvious swing. Let's listen to a cymbal. It kind of sounds like he's doing da-dang, 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 da-dang. So he's sort of doubling up on the swing feel, making it more obvious. And a backbeat on 2 and 4, which he was doing on the melody. So it makes it into more of a pop tune, a popular song. It's got more of that dance beat, more of that soul. You know, you get the idea, right? Paul Chambers is just walking, right? Listen to Art Blakey. How much is he interacting with Hank Mobley? We make a big deal about interaction in jazz. Listen. The answer is 0. He is not interacting. He's outlining the form with a crash cymbal here and there, but he's not interacting. That's not his job on this kind of tune. Interaction would break the groove. Art understands my job here is marching along. Keep it marching along. Keep it marching along. So that idea of Hank's there. One of the ways he's building his solo is using 2 notes. We're now into the 5th and 6th measure of that idea. 5, 6 more measures of rhythmic repetition. He's back to it. Jeez, 10 measures in, he's still playing that idea. Smart, right? A way to build our solo without a bunch of chops. Rhythm, repetition. Woo! Man. So now, the language that Hank's playing with is very bluesy. Tonic blues scale is what I mean. E-flat blues scale. But he's also playing the changes. There's only a handful of changes. There's only about 5 or 6 different chords in this tune. They're all very, support the blues. So he's playing the blues, yet playing melodically, yet he's in the changes. That balance is crazy. He's used that idea a number of times already. Boo, boo, da, boo, da, boo, da, da. Right? Using sort of a pedal point and then moving around the pedal point. His friend Bach used to do that a lot. Johann Sebastian Bach, also on the Blue Note record label, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe I'm mistaken. Wynton Kelly. You hear how that that backbeat really grounds things in a really cool way. And of course, the master of what I was just talking about with Hank, this blues language, but so much inside the chord changes when he wants to be. Just the last guided listening was Freddie Freeloader, Miles Davis, with Wynton Kelly. And so we were listening to him play very much this same kind of language on that previous one. Block chords. Again, how do we build solos? On the piano that can't get as loud and boisterous maybe as the saxophone. Well, playing with 5, 6, 7, 8 notes at the same time, saxophone can't do that. Woo! And there's those grace notes. And space. That bass and drums. If Wynton Kelly weren't playing, I would be sitting here with a smile listening to Paul Chambers and Art Blakey just playing that. Like, so sort of dialed back from what we may expect as far as interaction and fanciness, right? Now listen to the cymbal. Sounds like brushes on the cymbal now as opposed to the stick. We're not hearing that ting, ting, ting. It's that lighter attack, but still 2 and 4. Art Blakey has not stopped playing 2 and 4 for like 8 minutes now. And how dynamic Paul Chambers is being in his line. Da, da, how he's, and again, rhythmic repetition, how he's using soft and loud. Like the bass is a limited instrument volume-wise, but how he's playing in a way where there's all this dynamic range in his playing. In the previous guided listening, we talked about that with Wynton Kelly and with Miles Davis. We're here to hear with Paul Chambers. Right? How he ghost notes and accents notes. Doesn't matter how loud your instrument can get, you still have a range, right? And that Art Blakey classic triplet, bringing us in, right? I wouldn't call that interaction per se. That's him highlighting the form and shepherding the melody back in. Sure, it's interaction in a sense, but not the way we think about it in jazz a lot. Paul Chambers in the 2 feel. Second time through the melody, they kind of bring it back down a little bit, right? And Hank is embellishing his own melody a little bit, changing the rhythms slightly from what he played on the head in. Woo! And now we're taking it home, right? On a sharp 9 chord, nice bluesy fill. And I was talking over it, but the way Art Blakey does the fill and then ends it with the hi-hat closing, a nice little button on the end. So that's a classic drummerly kind of thing to do. So I don't have a lot of regrets in life, you know, like sure, I think back to things that make me cringe, wish I wouldn't have said that, but you know, whatever. These experiences make us who we are. One regret I have is not checking out way more Hank Mobley as a young player. This may come as a shock to you, but you know, there's elements of me that's a bit of a knucklehead, and one of them was not checking out enough Hank Mobley. As a young guy, I was so excited by sort of the modern sounds, and of course, like so many young saxophonists, tenor saxophonists, I got so into Michael Brecker and all sort of the you know, surrounding folks, Bob Berg and Mincer, and I love Joe Henderson so much, and Coltrane, and you know, a lot of us do that. We sort of start with the stuff that's more contemporary to where we're at in time, and then maybe work our way back. And I loved listening to an album like this, but it was just like really swinging and really nice and really easy. You know, I had these thoughts in my head, and I didn't learn enough of this language maybe at the time, or learn enough of exactly the little stylistic things. So I got it over time, but geez, if I could go back in a time machine, I think that would have moved my playing ahead so much faster to check out a player like Hank Mobley, who to me, I didn't deem as cool enough. I know I'm going to get hit by lightning. I probably should. You know, my watch is going to ding again, the Hank Mobley Institute. But I'm owning it. I'm owning it. That's something I would do a little different. See, you're smarter than me because you checked out more Hank Mobley back in the day. There we go. All right. Well, that was a blast. I'm checking out a lot of Hank Mobley these days and really enjoying it and seeing how it echoes forward and connects to lots of the contemporary players that I loved and got me so excited about jazz to begin with and still love, right? I want to let you know that we have the Winter Summit. We've just announced the date, January 30th to February 2nd, 2025. It's an online workshop. This is our 5th year of doing this, and this is around our 100th workshop that we've presented online. 100 workshops online. Yeah, because we know what we're doing. And they are really, really powerful. No, we can't play in real time. The technology is too, futzy for that to work, especially if you live in New Zealand, like many of our attendees, or Europe, or South America, or Canada, or wherever. But we have a really, really great way of playing together a ton and sharing a ton of information. So it's at the end of January. The website is just going to be launched in the next couple of weeks, but write us. Just write us. We'll hold you a spot. We have 21 spots. And of course, about 1,000 of you are going to see this video very quickly. We have 300 Jazzwire members. So if you're interested, like now, send us a quick little email like, yes, put me on the list, and we'll get you down for it. I'm excited about it. Steve Herberman is going to be on guitar. We'll be announcing more faculty as we go ahead. All right, everybody, listen to some Hank Mobley, and we'll see you next week.